year, we had like a pretty solid 8 put together. And I think it was just that whole season, like we were all very dedicated and very excited about it. And I remember us like pushing each other and being like super excited about it. Unfortunately, we did not make it to region or to nationals when we were at regionals. We like missed it by I don't know. I don't think it was by that much, but that was definitely a bummer. But I
All right, what's up, everybody? It's RowingCast, and today we have our first guest, or actually our second guest of the season, but our first Longhorn of all of RowingCast, right? So we got Etta Carpender. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So, Etta, right now you're post grad. You're in the national team. We'll talk a little bit about that, but like just starting off, like what's this year been like for you?
It's been crazy. There's been a lot of moving parts. I've traveled all over the place, which has been so fun. But honestly, overall, it's been awesome. Like it's been such a good year of personal development, and I've learned a lot. And yeah, again, got to go to so many new cool places and meet a ton of people. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Super cool. So Etta, let's throw it all the way back. What were you like prior to starting rowing? What was that like for you?
Well, I've been rowing since I was in 8th grade. So it was a long time ago. But I honestly wasn't like that sporty or that athletic before I started. My mom, I don't know, I'm 6'2", so I'm very tall and I've always been pretty tall. So my mom really wanted me to get into sports. So she put me in everything. I played like basketball, volleyball, swimming, cross country. I even did like soccer when I was really little, and nothing really quite stuck with me. Um, I don't have like the best reflexes to play a ball sport, and yeah, I don't know, yeah, nothing really stuck with me. I was more into like artsy stuff. Like I loved I did like a few like theater camps, which is like crazy to think about now. But I was more interested in that, and I was really into like fashion design, and I was looking to go to like an arts school here in Denver for costume design. So I was like looking at a completely different path than where I'm at right now. Um but yeah, then my brother actually, he's also very tall. So again, my parents were trying to push both of us into sports. He's 6'8". So yeah, they were like, you need to play sports. So he started rowing in high school actually. And that is how I got introduced to it. And so I actually did 2 winter seasons before I even got in a boat, which people are always like, I don't know how you're still rowing after erging for 2 winter seasons. But I don't know, I think I really liked the people that I was doing it with, and I liked the coach. So it was just kind of like a fun after school activity for me to do, which thinking back is so random that I would like go to this gym and erg for like 3 months out of the year. But so yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. And yeah, I really liked it. So here we are.
So yeah, I gotta say 2 seasons of like winter season or winter conditioning is like crazy, like not gonna
Yeah.
lie. So but hey, you got through it and you're in the Colorado area, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm from
okay.
Denver.
So was it the club that you ended up rowing for even when you were in high school and stuff like that?
Yeah, so they actually did like an after school program, and it was like advertised as like cross training for other sports. And so there were a ton of kids that did it actually. And so I got to know like yeah, I just made friends with like a ton of people. And then it did feed into Mile High Rowing Club, which is the club that I rowed for in high school.
Gotcha. And then you at Mile High, you guys is your regional at Oklahoma City because I think I've used to see him a lot. Yeah.
Yes, it
Okay.
is. Yeah, I've raced there like probably 10 times,
Okay. Yeah, because we
which
had
is
like when I
crazy.
was coaching in Dallas, we had scrimmages and we'd see Mile High, and I'm like, how are you guys coming all the way from like Colorado, like coming down here to race? So that's interesting. But all right, any memories from those 2 winter seasons, those grueling times on the earth?
Honestly, like Nothing in particular. I think I don't necessarily remember the like erging as much as I remember again just like making friends with the people that I was doing it with. There was a the gym that we would do it in, they had like a smoothie bar upstairs, and so we would all go sit after practice and we get smoothies and we'd like do our homework and hang out. And so yeah, again, people are always like 2 winter seasons, but I think it was really just like I had it was like a social thing also. So yeah, that was definitely a fun memory.
Yeah, I coach middle school as well at times. So all I do is like get them like hooked to like the fish game, and get
Yeah.
them hooked on like the social aspect of rowing, right? So like
Yeah.
that's amazing, and for you to have like a little like juice bar up top, like that's a total hangout. So
Yeah.
sounds good. Good.
Exactly.
So, talk about the transition into like, really rowing in high school. What was that like for you? And if it's your first, right, like step into like competitive sports, what was that like for you?
It was interesting. My coach, I think, would always be frustrated because I wasn't like super competitive to begin with. Like I just was like, oh, again, like something social and fun to do. And like my coach like really wanted me to be competitive, but I just like didn't really have it in me when I was younger. But yeah, it was crazy. I didn't do a learn to row. I just showed up to the like summer training season that they had and they put me in a quad. So I actually started out sculling, which is crazy because I don't scull at all anymore. Like occasionally I will, but not as much. But yeah, they put me in a quad, and then that was the summer before my freshman year of high school. And yeah, I think I just rode a quad with some of the like sophomores and juniors that whole next year, basically. Um, and yeah, it was really interesting because I think as time went on, I did start to get more competitive. And my coach also was always like, "Oh, this could be like a good way for you to get into college," and so that was also definitely pretty motivating for me. So yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, you were in the quad, right? For what? For eighth grade and like ninth grade year for the most part. Um,
Hmm.
when do you remember when that switch like was like, yo, I want to be competitive? Like, when was that time? Like, when did that happen?
Um, I think it kind of started. I did a because like the club wasn't like super serious. Like we wouldn't just because like the nature of rowing in Colorado, like we wouldn't be able to get on the water for very long, and like the training wasn't anything like super grueling. Like I hear about some high school clubs, and I'm like, damn, I did not do that. um, but I think I got invited to the like a US rowing development camp the summer after my sophomore year, I think it was. And after that, I was like, "Oh, like this is what it's going to take for me to like really take it to the next level." And I think as I started to like look at where I wanted to go to school and also just like as I got to be an older person on the team, I I think yeah, that like it definitely like gradually started to happen that switch, and I was like, "Okay, wait, I actually want to be good at this. I want to be a little more competitive." And I think a big part of it for me too was really like wanting to also push my teammates around me and like wanting them to be better because obviously rowing is like the ultimate team sport, as we all say. Um, and so I think the my like competitive edge definitely came from me wanting to also make my teammates better, which is huge and like something that I still totally rely on.
So yeah, coming from a smaller program, like, can you just speak on that a little bit? Like, what came with that? I mean, obviously, right, you guys have a grueling winters, so you got to deal with right when the water breaks and if you can get out there and whatnot. But like, what is that like? You had a lot of competition and a lot of friends and teammates at UT. They probably came from I came from Marin, or I came from all these different programs. What is it like to be in a smaller program?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we didn't race very often. Like both fall and spring season, we probably raced 2 or 3 times each season. And so I didn't have a ton of racing experience, but I think going into college and like even being up against some of my other teammates that like were racing every weekend in high school, I don't think it like really ended up mattering that much because once you get to college, like you're all training the same amount and you're all doing the same thing. But I think that that was like definitely something that stood out to me. But I also think being in a smaller program and not racing as much and like not having it be as much of a almost like time commitment, I think it really let me explore other avenues in high school and it really um made me confident in knowing that like rowing was something that I like did want to pursue. Just because I like was able to know or like see other things, if that makes sense. And that's not to say that like if you are in a more committed program that I don't think that's a bad thing. Like I think that's awesome because it's like only going to prepare you better for college. But I think there are definitely like pros and cons to both. And I think in being like a smaller program is that I could do stuff like that. And also just that there was like a little more attention on me just and like on like the athletes individually. And I like you were able to get a little more coaching and like a little bit more like recruiting help and like you also were able to just like form a more like tight knit community. Like I still talk to so many people that I rode with in high school. And I'm sure everyone does, but um, but yeah, that's one part that I was like very thankful for.
Yeah, I love the good balance of it, right? So you can have this structure where I put down, 15K every practice and I'm a 12-year-old, or you could have like, you need a social aspect with it too as well. And then also, I always made it very important with my athletes is go have activities outside of rowing and go have friends outside of rowing to kind of keep
Mm-hmm.
you grounded, if you want to say that. So yeah, I came from a small program. One of your teammates, we'll probably talk about her at one point, Sophie. She came from my program,
Oh,
and
right.
yeah, dude, she's a beast, man. But she was like, we were a real small program, and then they used her for everything. They're like, we need you in this boat, and in this boat, and
Yeah.
this boat, and this boat. And she's like, okay, I'll figure it out. So yeah,
Yeah.
like, but then you got like, I'm coached with a program with 100 kids, and then it's like, okay, you can't tell Joe from like, Schmo or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So good to hear. Good to hear. Any notable like moments though, like at Mile High, like anything where you're like, man, I really love that moment, or it just like you can replay it in your mind. Any moments like that?
Yeah, I think my senior year we had like a pretty solid eight put together. And I think it was just that whole season, like we were all very dedicated and very excited about it. And I remember us like pushing each other and being like super excited about it. Unfortunately, we did not make it to region or to nationals when we were at regionals. We like missed it by I don't know. I don't think it was by that much, but that was definitely a bummer. But I think looking back, it was just really cool to see all of us because most of us were seniors in that boat, and it was really cool to see all of us like really double down and be excited about that season. Yeah,
And you're a senior, big senior, Etta. You're the senior. Are you? Did you get recruited? Like, what's the recruiting process like for you on that end?
yeah. So I went on a few like unofficial visits my junior year because I went and did crash bees in Boston, which was hilarious. No, it was awesome. I kind of like miss it, but when I was there, I went in, toured a few different schools in Boston, and I was talking to a few different schools. But I remember my coach being like, "Hey, you should look at Texas," and I was like, "Texas." What? This is like my junior year. I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, okay, I'll like look into it, I guess. And so when I was at Craft Trees, I actually ran into one of the coaches at Texas. Her name was Mary. Shout out Coach Mary. She was dressed in like her full burnt orange rain suit because it was so cold there. And I remember going up and shaking her hand, and she was like, "You're too young. Like recruiting rules say I can't talk to you right now." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But after that, we had a phone call, and it just like the way that she described Austin, like it just sounded awesome. And as I was talking on the phone with her, I live in like a pretty quiet neighborhood here, and I was like standing outside in my front yard, and someone walks by with a Longhorn shirt on, and I was like, "What are the odds? It's a sign." um, and so I ended up taking an official visit at Texas, and I took one at Syracuse and one at Texas, and I loved both. My brother actually went to Syracuse, so I was super torn in between both, but I just like loved the vibes at Texas. Like it just they had like a really magnetic energy, and like it was the year that they got second was the year that I or third, sorry. The year that they got third was the year that I had my official visit. So it was like they were like building something, and I was like, wow, I want to be a part of that. So, yeah, I ended up choosing Texas.
So did your bro end up rowing at Q's, or what happened with this?
Yeah, he walked on, and then he got interested in other things. He was a business major, and I think yeah, just there were other things that he was interested in, but yeah, he did try to walk on. So,
Word, word, word. So you pick UT, you get to Austin. I think Austin's kind of cool. What was your thoughts there? Like, what was your initial thoughts? Like your first week there?
my first week there, or my first few months there were a lot of fun. But they also, I think for a while, I was like, again, because coming from like a smaller program, I wasn't used to like the volume, but I wanted to be in it so badly, but I just was like definitely very overwhelmed by that. And so it was definitely a little bit of a struggle my first year. And I remember talking to my team a lot about that my last couple years there, just because like it can be a struggle. And like if you are getting recruited and you are having your first year, like you're not always going to love every moment of your first year. And I think that sucks because or it can suck because like you see people in their freshman year of college and they're like loving it. And I don't, but like I think it is just such a huge life transition. Like you're moving to a new place, you're meeting a ton of new people, you have a new class schedule, like it can be super overwhelming. Um, and so yeah, it wasn't like the best year for me. But it was a year of like a lot of personal growth, and I definitely would not be where I am today without that.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna say for me, I made a little transition. I mean, my program, we probably maybe got like probably 45 minutes, maybe 60 minutes on water in high school. And then we go
Mhm.
into these hours of like, work per week. So every day after I got out of practice, I'm like, do I still love this like sport? And
Yeah.
I had to ask me this question every day. I was like, okay, yeah, I do. All right, then stick with it. Like stay with it. So
Yeah.
very, very interesting to hear that, it's not uncommon to have that transition. So when did things start to kind of cheer up for you down there?
Yeah, I think, towards the end of my freshman year, I was like, "All right, we gotta lock in." And I ended up being a spare at NCAA's, which was, for me, awesome. Like, my goal going into the season was just to simply go to every race. Like, I was like, "I don't have to be in the top boat, but I just want to be a part of the squad that just goes to every race." So, I was in either the freshman 8 or the second 4 for that whole season. And then, yeah, I ended up being a spare at NCAA's, which was awesome. And I think really like my career, what like being at NCAA's and seeing like, oh, like this is what we're training for, like, oh my God, was like a huge switch because, yeah, no, it just felt so cool to be there. And I was like, wait, I need to be a part of this.
So it's kind of hard, I guess, especially with being at a program at like kind of like Mile High, but also UT is kind of like out there. There's not a lot of competition nearby, so you don't get to see your competition all the time. So like you kind of got to go fly out, you got to go to the like Crew Classic, or you got to go to the Charles. You got to go out to different areas to just go race. So you probably don't see that all the time. So when you get to go see it at like NCAAs, you're like, oh, okay, like, oh, this is really what it's all about. Oh, okay, this
Hmm.
makes sense. So that makes sense. That makes sense. So what does sophomore year look like for you then?
So sophomore year, I was definitely still like struggling a little bit in the fall. But I really like doubled down and was like, okay, I'm gonna like work a lot on my fitness this year. And I ended up getting like second on the team in the 30-minute. And that just boosted my confidence so much. I was like, wait, I can do this and like be like a huge player on this team. And then COVID hit, which was a huge bummer, obviously. And I ended up going home and I actually took a full gap year just because I don't know, in the moment it felt like the right thing to do. And I think again for personal growth, like it was like a great thing for me to do. I was able to save up a little money and like I don't know, just have a little mental break. And so yeah, that was definitely an interesting part of sophomore year, especially because I did have a lot of momentum. Um, especially in the second half. But yeah, I mean, everything really happens for a reason. So,
Yeah, I know about the brutal COVID season. It took my senior season away, so I understand it. But after this year, like we don't have to speak on it too much. But like, did you gain a new perspective, like coming back? Like, how was that?
yeah, I think honestly, going into my gap year, I had a couple months off and then I was like, maybe I don't want to be rowing. I don't know why my whole like beginning of college career was a lot of me questioning if I really wanted to be doing it or not. But during my gap year, I started working out a lot alone and I started running a lot. And I think that like working out alone is like such a like it's pretty tough mentally, especially running. And I was running pretty long distances. And I think it just like I missed being competitive that year. And the only place that I wanted to do it was at Texas. Like I just like missed it so much, like after a while. Because like, fall of 2020, I was kind of like, oh, maybe I'll not do this anymore. And then the spring came and yeah, I just missed it. And then they won NCAA's that year, which was awesome. But I was like, damn, I could have been there. So yeah, definitely like ignited that fire in me again. And I decided to go back. So
So off of that like journey right there, what advice would you give to a young athlete that might be in a certain predicament? Hopefully, it's not like a pandemic or anything like that. But like, what
mhm.
advice would you give to an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I think I took my gap year in a time where I like definitely needed a bit of a mental break and a mental reset. And I think I like fully made the decision to take a gap year on my own. And in the moment it felt like such a big life decision because it's like, oh my God, like I'm not going back to school for a full year. Like, and it's super taboo. I remember like one person telling me like, oh, like all my friends who took gap years in college, they never went back. And so it was definitely like a really weird situation. I think just like taking a break from anything in general, um, can be kind of taboo. Like people definitely look down on it. But I think if you are really meant to do something and if you really are passionate about it, you will go back to it. And if you take a break and you decide that's not something you want to do anymore, like that is completely okay and completely valid. And sometimes you need a break like that to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So you go back to Austin. What is the vibe like there? What was the return like? The return.
The return. Well, I went back and I was like, I want to be in the first eight. That was my goal. Especially because again, like end of my sophomore year, I had so much momentum and was like really gunning for that then. And so I was like, okay, I need to do this for myself. Um, and so I went to Dave, Coach Dave, and Mara. Mara was there too. And I said, what exactly do I need to do to be in the first eight? And I remember I went in with my like little notebook and he he was like, really? No, not actually. I think he appreciated it. But I went in and I was like, what exactly do I need to do? And he wrote out a list on the board of things I needed to do. I needed to like improve my power curve, get stronger, go XYZ on my 2K, whatever. And that would put me in a good position to be in the first 8. And so, yeah, I just, like, worked my butt off and tried to do those things.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Just speak on the program just as an overhaul, as an overall, like it's a powerhouse, right? So like it grew into a powerhouse, but you're part of the process. What was that like?
Um, I think it, like, always starts from, like, the top down. I think Dave does a really good job at creating a culture that feels almost like feels almost like you're an underdog, but not necessarily. Like, you always wanna stay super humble and hungry. Like, he just creates a culture that's super hungry and, like, always working for it and always trying to do more and ask for more, and, like, it definitely starts with a few athletes that just are always doing the most, and it's super inspiring, and I think it's cool because everyone on the team looks up to them and is like, "Okay, if they are doing this, I need to do this too in order to make or to be in their position." And it just, like, really propels the whole entire team forward, but it's cool also because the people that are, the walk-ons and the freshmen are also working their tails off to try to, like, push into that top end of the group. Um, and yeah, it's just awesome. Like, it's just a really great, inspiring culture, and you just always feel like you are doing everything together. Like, it just feels super cohesive.
Great to hear. So you got your insight from Coach Dave. What you need to do to get into the 1V. Did you get into the 1V? Is the real question.
I did. It was, and I think for a while when we were doing seat racing and the first couple times he put out like lineups that like looked like it could be the 1V and the 2V, like I wasn't in the one that looked like it was gonna be in the 1V. And I remember being like, damn, like, okay, like I guess that's just like I didn't do enough. And then there was one day where we did seat racing in fours, and I was like, this is my chance. Like, this is the day. And yeah, I was able to seat race and win all my seat races, and then I was put into the 8.
Nothing feels better as a rower, like especially in college, like when you're doing like a matrix or something like that, and then you get put in the boat, and you're like, oh, dude, I think like this is it. Like you're
Yeah.
like, I think I'm locked in. I think, but like, don't get too like big headed either. Like you might get
Yeah.
kicked out too. So yeah, I know
No.
that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember the first race that we went to was SMU, and it's a scrimmage, and like we called it like the Rust Buster, and it like obviously it's a race. It like definitely means a lot, but it's not like, San Diego Crew Classic or Big 12s. But I remember being so nervous for that race because I was like, this is my first race in the first 8. Like, I cannot mess this up. Like, oh my God. And yeah, that was like the most nervous I was for a race the entire season. And I think I told Dave that at one point, and he was like, what? No, but yeah, I was like, wow, this is like my first race. Like, I have to do well. Um, but yeah, that was a crazy time.
Just gotta tell a side story on that. Like, so you're racing SMU. I most likely was coaching, and we sat down and watched. I made the boys watch all of the scrimmages as they went down on White Rock. I was just like, "Hey, watch!" Like, they're like, "I
That's
think we
awesome.
could beat them." I'm like, "Yeah, right." Like, you can't even catch properly, man. Get out of here. Like, there's no way. So
That's
that's
awesome.
so
It was
cool.
probably like white capping the whole time too.
All right, so you made it to the 1V. You stay in the 1V all the way through NCAAs, yeah?
I did, yes. And then we won again that year, and yeah, it was awesome.
So I watched that race. I'm out there cheering for Soph, man. That's one of my dogs,
I
man. She's one of my
know.
dogs, man. But yeah,
Yeah,
so I saw that.
yeah, because that was Sophie's first time racing the first 8 that year too. Yeah, that was awesome.
And you did some good work. What did the transition from like your junior year to your senior year look like?
Um, I think it was interesting. That summer I did try to go to U23s, but I actually had a broken rib. that I like pretty much rode through the entire season with, which wouldn't recommend that. I would not recommend that. Don't, if you are listening and you have a broken rib, don't do that. Because it took me like months to recover from, and I don't know, like I think that fall, I mentally it just was a lot to get over because I just was like so afraid that I was still injuring myself. And mentally it was like, yeah, definitely a hump to get over. So yeah, would not recommend that because yeah, I also did not make a boat at U23s because I came in late because I was trying to rehab it, and was not a good idea, was not my finest moment, but it's okay.
Hey, you tried it, man. You went for it though. I think it's pretty badass. You went through the season like that though too. So not like saying
Yeah,
that's a great thing to do, but like that's pretty
would
badass.
not
So,
recommend,
yeah.
but yeah.
So senior year, you're just kind of like trying to get back to health, right? Like for the most part, or how did that work?
Mhm. Yeah, definitely like the fall, trying to just like get myself together. I think as a team at Texas, we were going through some transitions, and yeah, it just definitely was not our best year, but it also wasn't our worst. Like we still came in fourth, which was overall like a very good result. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that. Because I want you to give some advice to athletes that might be dealing with injuries. Hopefully, it isn't as severe as like a broken rib. But like, what advice would you give? Would you tell them like, take more time? Like, what will be your advice?
Yeah, I think just be smart about it. And if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not. Um, and I think it's hard as an athlete, especially because that was my first rib injury, and it's hard to know like what that feels like and like what um it feels like when it's actually going to be a problem. But yeah, I would say like, if it is bothering you, especially at night, like when you're trying to sleep, like that's not a good sign. And it's okay to take time off. It's very scary. Like I still deal with it from time to time, even now. Like I think, being an athlete, like you're always going to deal with injury or like the prospect of getting injured. But yeah, just be smart about it.
All right. So you graduate UT. Was that an amazing time? Was it a great accomplishment? How did you feel about that?
Yeah, well, after the 2023 season, I took another year. So I did graduate and then I did a fifth year basically. Um, and yeah, it was awesome. It was like super bittersweet. I literally had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to row still. I didn't know if I wanted to get a job. I was like actually so stressed about it, but my like especially in for the 2024 season, like my priority was NCAA's, and like that team is very special to me, very special place in my heart. Because we did end up winning that year. Um, and so yeah, that honestly like made it so bittersweet to leave. And I was definitely very sad to leave again because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I don't know why, like my plan wasn't just to keep rowing, but I just like wasn't sure if that was like going to be the best decision for me. Um yeah, and I like again shout out to Dave because he did come up to me at one point and he was like, you should keep rowing. And then after NCAA's that year, I was like, wait, I love this. Why would I quit? Why would I stop now? I think that whole season I was still like hitting PRs. I was still getting better on the water and like in the weight room on the erg and whatnot. And so I was like, I think, I'm still having a lot of momentum. Like I should keep going.
All right. Speak on this. So going from a fourth place finish to the first place finish within the year, or in a year time, a lot of athletes have that kind of experience. But what does that take to really? What's the difference from fourth place to first place? Obviously, not just time, but like what type of like dedication, stuff like that. What type of work was put in to change the result?
Yeah, I think it comes from like the top down. And I think that year, especially, like the seniors had a lot of urgency. Like we were like, we're not gonna let this happen again. And I think a lot of it came from building a lot of camaraderie between us and like our teammates, and also just like pushing the team. Like it like really came from the seniors being like, no, we're doing this. And also like obviously with the support of Dave. Um, but yeah, I think it just like the best word I can use to describe it is just urgency. We were like, we're not we're not letting this happen again. Um, and I think the entire team, like even the new incoming freshmen who had not experienced the year before, they all were like they were like in for it. And I think it just like really propelled the whole team the entire year. And we were like just trying, like our goal was to win. And like we just pushed every day. Like every single day we came in thinking about that. And I think it went a really long way.
That's great. That's great. So Coach Dave says you need to keep rowing, man. What are you thinking about not rowing? What is going on with you? But so what was the transition like after graduation into rowing? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, well, I was like, okay, like maybe I'll take a year off. Like maybe I'll stay here in Austin and like coach at Texas for a semester and like maybe keep training and then I'll go row next year, like whatever. And then I actually went to Henley, like just for fun. A few of my teammates from Texas were going, and so I was like, oh, I'll just go. And I just being around like racing in general, I was like, "Ah, like I want to do this again soon." um, and because it's, when you're a rower, it's hard to just watch racing. Like you want to be in it. Um, and so I came back from Henley and I was like, okay, I actually want to keep rowing. And I talked to Dave and he helped me contact Jesse and Yosi. And there's definitely a little bit of like a period of just like hanging out and like waiting to hear what was going to happen because the Olympics were happening. So they were trying to figure that out. But um, yeah, I was like, wow, I really want to keep doing this. So I just kept working out, stayed fit, and then got invited to Princeton in the fall.
So you get invited to Princeton. We've had some people that have been on the team on the training squad there. Some of them have to share houses. Some of them have to do a lot of loads of different things. So what was your like experience and what is your experience?
Yeah, so I got there and I ended up living in a house with two other girls there. There were only five of us training in Princeton last fall. So it was a super small group and I raced speed order with Holly Drapp. She went to Washington. She also got third at Worlds, which is super sick, super awesome to watch. Um, but yeah, so I ended up living in a house, racing speed order. I didn't, some people live with host families. I did not end up living with a host family. Um, and yeah, I think like a lot of people just have like little side jobs. So I was like kind of looking for a job. I do socials for Rowing News. So I was kind of doing that on the side. But yeah, I just got there, started training in Princeton, and yeah.
And then I'd say, like, unlike any other athlete, I got to give you your your due diligence, or I got to give you applaud you in this is that you do like do social media, well, like while you're training, while you're on a team, and you don't actually see that a lot. You'll see it on a junior level, you'll see it for sure on the collegiate level, especially now at NIL. You'll see a lot of people just posting
Hmm.
here and there, but for someone to post on the national team, you got people around the world that do it, but on the US team, it's very few, right? So speak on that. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think honestly a lot of it comes from my background at Texas. When I was at Texas, they would have us go to a lot of um like little info sessions about NIL where we would learn how to like build our brand and how to reach out to companies for sponsorships and how to like post in a way that is brand safe, I guess. And so I started doing it when I was at Texas, and I started like just doing little vlogs and like a few other just random things. And honestly, I just love it. Like I love creating content and um so for me it's just like kind of something that's fun. So obviously I was going to keep doing it when I got to the national team. But I also think it's cool because up until probably my senior year, I didn't really know who was on the national team or like what was going on with the national team. And there are like so many moving parts with everyone on the national team. And so I also think it is important for us as national team members to be promoting ourselves. Like obviously I think sometimes it can be frustrating because I wish it was a sport that just promoted itself, but it's not yet. And so I think, yeah, it is important for us to be promoting ourselves and like showing people what we're doing and like really grabbing that attention because people don't always get into sports to watch the sport. They get into sports to watch the individual. Like if you look at Alona Mar with rugby, like people love her and she's like sold out rugby stadiums in England because of it. So I think that is like something that's super important in terms of like building a bigger audience for the sport. And so I think some people on the national team are starting to get into it, but it is yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, and I think it's even great for younger athletes because they can see, oh, well, Etta is like doing this and that and whatever, and she's making it more personable, and I can actually visualize myself being on a team.
Hmm.
So I think that's a really great thing that you're doing. I got a side question from one of my buddies. We're all from JU, by the way, and they go, if Etta, if you were in charge of like recruiting for U.S. rowing, like how would you get younger kids into the sport? Yeah, that's pretty much it.
um Again, I think just oh, that's a really good question. I think just making it fun. Like I think in high school, I think the most important thing is having fun, especially like, your freshman, sophomore year. Just, really having like kids get to know each other and make friends because that's also why people keep coming back to the sport, like you want to like I think so many people do it because they love their friends and they love doing this with their friends. So I think that is definitely a way that I would get people into the sport, just being like, hey, this is a cool way to make friends and you're outside all the time. So yeah, because I also think, I do feel like it attracts a lot of people that aren't necessarily into sports in the first place, like myself. And so, yeah, I think I would definitely just emphasize like the social aspect of it.
Great to hear. I think my buddy would be great. I think he'll be fine with that answer because he was the only person to ask a question. That was the question he asked. So interesting. So tell me like about like the last year then, like being on the team. What's the process like? Are you just at home chilling now? Like what does this whole thing look like?
Yeah, so great question. So yeah, last year we did speed order, and then the speed orders get you an invite to the training camps and selection camps. So last fall, the speed order that I went to Princeton to train for got me an invite to the winter training camp, which was in Sarasota, Florida. So we went to Sarasota and then we went to altitude camp in Colorado Springs, and then we went back to Sarasota. And then and that was around March. And then mid-March we had our winter speed order. Um, and then from that, you got an invite to the selection camp one, um, which I actually didn't initially get an invite to selection camp one because my speed order result was not, it didn't hit the mark, which happens. But I went back and I ended up 2K'ing alone, which was kind of crazy of me, and I PR'd. And so they ended up extending a late invite to me. Um, so that was very exciting. And then, so yeah, I got an invite to the World Cup selection camp, which was back in Sarasota in May. And I ended up making the team. So we went and we raced in Varese, Italy, and then Lucerne, Switzerland. And in both, I stroked a 4, which was the first time I had ever stroked for a race. And both of them went well. We got 5th in Varese, and I was in the B4. And then for Lucerne, I was put into the A4, and we won, which was awesome. Definitely like a highlight of the year. Also, because Lucerne's awesome. Like, it's just a gorgeous course. Like, it was so sick. And then we had about a week off, and then we went to selection camp 2, which was for the world championship. And I ended up making the 8. And then we went and trained in the selection camp was in Princeton, New Jersey. And then we went and trained for about 8 weeks in Chula Vista, California, which is like one of the older Olympic training centers. And it's about like 45 minutes south of San Diego. And then, yeah, we went to China for the world championship, which was really cool. And the 8, my boat ended up getting 5th, which definitely was not the result we were hoping for. But I think, it was a good start to, it was a good place to, it's like a good place to build off of for the next 3 years. And then afterwards, my friends and I did a little traveling, and yeah, now I'm just training at home. I'm gonna go to Princeton to train in a couple weeks. So yeah, I'll be there soon. But I'm gonna go visit Austin this next weekend. So I'm very excited to go see all of my old teammates and coaches and everyone. And then the whole thing starts all over again, and we're like all over the place again next year. So
So
yeah.
you must have built in like altitude training, yes or no? I mean, being up in Colorado already, you had to go back, right? But the Colorado Springs to do it. So
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool.
Well, because yeah, right now I'm like altitude training basically. Like for me, I'm like, well, it's just training, but it is altitude training. And then yeah, we have another altitude camp in December that I'll be going to. So I'll be back here pretty shortly for like 2.5 weeks in December, but I'll be in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center training.
Sweet, sweet. Well, hey, Ada, really thank you. I'm so grateful for your time. Hope you have a great visit to Austin, back to the
Thank you.
stomping grounds. Um, saw you at the Charles, man. Shout out
Yeah.
to UT. You guys did pretty well. And
Thank you.
then I saw, oh man, I was taking video the next day. You guys were going down in a champ. I got every boat beside your boat. So maybe that's like a good thing. Maybe you're so quick we didn't get you. So
That's
um
okay.
yeah, so thank you for being on the pod. Any advice you'd
hmm
give to a young athlete at any stature? Maybe think about it like this: give advice to someone that's at the college level, give advice to
hmm
someone at the high school level, and then give advice to someone that's like brand new to the sport.
Someone at the college level, I think, just do everything with intention. Like, I think it's really easy to get to practice every day and just be like, oh, okay, like, we're just gonna do blah, blah, blah in, 16, 20K in a pair today. Like, great. And just like try to just like get through the workout. But even if you can just like take 5K of it and be like, okay, today I'm gonna really work on my catch, or like today I'm gonna like try to hold this speed for the first 5K or whatever. That is gonna go such a long way. Because also, if you just do the first 5K, then you're like, okay, well, I may as well do another 2K thinking about this, and it definitely helps. I think someone at the high school level, really bring up your teammates around you, because that'll, bring you guys closer, and you'll have friends for life, and it'll make everything way more fun. And just to really, yeah, like be really into the team. And also that goes for being at the college level. Like bringing up people around you can always go a long way. And then someone just starting, just, have fun with it. I think it's not worth doing if it's not fun. And obviously it's sometimes a little like what type A fun, type B fun. What is it? Yeah.
It's a little type A fun, I guess.
Yeah.
It's type A.
Yeah, like it's not always everyone's idea of fun, but just have fun with it, because that'll carry you a long way. So
And then I forgot to ask this part, but you know, you can do whatever you want with this. Any goals that you have for yourself, either rowing or not even rowing related, anything related?
I think a goal that I have right now, especially in the next few months, is I really want to get my 2K time down. So I'm erging a lot. So that's like a short-term goal. I think long-term goal, um, definitely make a boat for LA. Um, that is, yeah, that's the goal. And personal goal, I don't really know.
Hey, that's fine. You don't need to know right now. Keep doing you, man. Keep it up. So grateful to have you on the pod once again. So
All
thank
good.
you. Shout out to you. And yeah, make sure you follow Etta wherever Etta's at. You know, Etta's on everything, I feel like. So
Yeah.
follow her. All right. Thank you, Etta. Have a good
Thank
one.
you. You too. Bye.